third of the plate there is non-starchy vegetables. A third of it there is the protein. We've got, a type 2 diabetes remission rate of around sort of 11 or 12%, and a pre-diabetes remission rate of about 25%. And he lost 25 kilos in 4 months.
That's amazing.
Got off all of his blood pressure pills, put his pre-diabetes into remission.
In schools, we're still promoting it in hospitals. Social workers are going out, care workers are still going out and promoting it. It's promoted everywhere. Don't follow the government Eatwell plate. That's what we're going to discuss today. I've got GPs Dr. David Oliver and Dr. Kim Andrews here from the Freshwell Low Carb Project. We're going to talk about what the government Eatwell plate is and why it's not so great, and what the alternatives are. So, first question is basically the government Eatwell guide. Why is it not fit for purpose? And what really brought you to that point of understanding?
The government Eatwell plate is problematic as far as we're concerned, because it does encourage the population to fill their plate with at least a third starchy carbohydrates and ultra-processed food to a degree. And we found through our work that eating that amount of carbohydrate is not good for people's metabolic health. It can predispose to weight gain, pre-diabetes and diabetes. And since we discovered low carb and focusing more on people's metabolic health 6 years ago, we've found some really dramatic improvements to our patients' health, and it's been a real joy to see how we can take people off medication, and we can take people and help people reverse their diabetes and become thinner and healthier. So through our experiences as GPs, that's what we've found.
You're actually quite pioneering, aren't you? Within the network of GPs, there's not very many GPs doing what you're doing. So let's discuss, because we know now, not everybody knows what the government Eatwell plate is. It is basically a plate of portions giving people guidance on how to eat. Mm-hmm. But it's been recently been discredited in the British Medical Journal. The article was by Zoe Harcombe. And we're starting to realise that a lot of this was actually created by the food industry, more for their profit rather than for our health and well-being. So what was the moment in which you thought, this isn't fit for purpose?
For me personally, so at the time when we discovered this back in 2019, David had been on a sort of a GP educational course, and they were talking there about sort of trying to get people with diabetes and pre-diabetes into remission. And as part of that discussion, they talked about Michael Mosley's 8-week blood sugar diet book. Yep. So that's where we started. And, we'd talked quite a lot about it and thought this all seemed very, very sensible. And so I introduced my dad to it, which is where it all started for me. Right. My dad's been overweight for most of his life, tried every diet going, the Slim Fast, Weight Watchers, the cabbage soup diet, Weetabix diet. He's done them all. He's been there, got the T-shirt. He's always lost weight, but then within 12 months has always ended up exactly where he started from. Yeah. And so we'd talked about this, and, I thought, well, actually, my dad loves a fry up, loves a steak, likes a glass of red wine. Actually, this could work for him. And he was already on 2 blood pressure agents. He'd just been told he'd got pre-diabetes and needed more blood pressure pills. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's my own dad, and I hadn't thought this with patients before, but I just thought to myself, well, this is crazy. What, you're just going to take more and more and more and more drugs, and your retirement's not going to be very good. You're going to spend half your time at the doctors or in hospital. This is madness. Clearly you need to address the underlying problem. So I told him about the things I didn't want him to eat, which was mainly ignoring the Eatwell plate, and left him to it. And he lost 25 kilos in 4 months.
That's amazing.
Got off all of his blood pressure pills, put his pre-diabetes into remission. And, this many years down the line, he's kept it all off and is really well. He's nearly 80. He walks 10K a day. He's so healthy. Wow. And for me, once I'd seen that, it was clear that, and it is clear to me as well that patients are following the Eatwell plate. Patients do what they're told.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's not difficult.
They go on all these diets, they lose weight, and then it stalls, and then they blame themselves. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of, and actually it's been really nice to say to people, do you know what? This isn't your fault. You've been eating how you've been told to. It's just the way that you're eating is not fit for a healthy life.
Absolutely. So basically, your father's a success story, but you used him as a guinea pig, but a really, really successful guinea pig.
And when I'd seen him fall on and off diets for all of these years, and he managed to do this, lose all that weight and completely maintain it and continue with it, I knew that, there had to be something in this, and that we were barking up the wrong tree. So it was time to do something different.
So the government Eatwell play, it kind of evolved a little bit, didn't it? Because it kind of started off in 1994 more as a balance of good health guide, which is a bit kind of the opposite of really what it was, if we're going to be really nice about it. And then it went on to be called the Eatwell play in 2007, and then it went on to be called the Eatwell guide. But ultimately, we couldn't really, we couldn't really call it Eat Well, could we really? It's kind of really far from the truth of what it really is. So it's mainly just because it's been influenced by the food industry and constructed by the food industry. I think at the time the government didn't really want to deal with healthy eating policies. So it kind of left the food industry to devise these eating plans and look at the mess that it's caused in this country. And you look at the rising amount of metabolic syndrome, but yet we're still doggedly following it. We're still promoting it in schools. We're still promoting it in hospitals. Social workers are going out. Care workers are still going out and promoting it. It's promoted everywhere.
Well, to be fair, look at hospital food. I don't know when the last time you looked at hospital food. I mean, it is dreadful. And you walk into the atriums of hospitals and there are Burger Kings, and all you can buy is sandwiches and crisps and cake and biscuits. I mean, it's madness. This is supposed to be a healthcare environment, but actually we're just helping people be even more sick.
That's right. So you're not actually promoting
wellness.
Not at all. When you think about how much of the ill health in this country, how much it's actually physically costing the economy and the NHS, and yet most of it is lifestyle driven, do you not think it's time to really re-evaluate the Eatwell plate? In fact, you have re-evaluated the Eatwell plate, haven't you? And you've written your own Freshwell guide. Yeah? So do you want to tell us a bit more about your Freshwell guide then? We'd really love to know a bit more about it.
Yes, well, having spent quite a bit of time advising patients on what to eat and reducing carbs, not cutting them completely. There's plenty of carbs, there's enough carbs in vegetables. And so what we really wanted to expand, there's a expand the protein section. We feel that, say that the main macronutrients, as they call them, fat, protein and carbohydrate, we wanted to shift much more away from the carbohydrates and more towards particularly protein. So we've really expanded the protein section. We've largely kept the vegetable section the same. We've taken out some of the more sugary fruits and some of the more starchy vegetables. And yes, I think that's about it. There's on the Eatwell plate, there's a little box at the bottom sort of saying you should eat these things less often, which is cake, sugary soft drinks. And people look at the words less often and they think, okay, I'm going to have them 6 days a week rather than 7 days a week. And it means nothing. So we were keen to remove that from it. We've changed some of the things that people should look at on labels and things. And we wanted to keep the look and feel of it very much the same as it is, so that people know that we are sort of deliberately challenging the Eatwell plate, really. Yeah.
And obviously you've had lots of success clinically in your practice with your customers, your clients, sorry, not your customers, your clients that come in, and you put them on your guide, and you've given them lots of support. You've got an app that you've produced as well, and you've got all this information on your website and a shopping list as well, which is super, super healthy. Super helpful and super healthy. It's a mouthful, isn't it? So you've got all of these strategies that you've devised, and you've found them to be really, really effective and really successful in your practice, yes?
Yeah. The other thing to mention is Kim's meal planners, which she's written, four meal planners, which are essentially recipe books. And there's a budget one as well for people who are finding money tight, and there's also a vegetarian one as well. So that's quite a key part of it, because people ask us what shall I eat? Okay, so tell me not. Sometimes people will look at a guide and they'll say, right, don't eat the potatoes, but they lack the imagination to cook, don't they? So,
yeah, definitely.
So one of your patients or one of your friends said, just tell me what to eat, and you produced a guide, and it all rolled on from there. So yeah.
What do you make of British Medical Journal comments written by Zoe Harcombe about the current guidelines being nutritionally deficient?
I mean, I think she has a point. I mean, I think, when you're filling yourself up with large amounts of starchy carb, actually you don't get much bang for your buck for those, in terms of all of the nutrients that comes along with it. And like David was saying with the protein, people are just massively under eating protein. Really we should be having about 2 grams per kilogram of weight approximately, and most people are just eating nowhere near that kind of level, and it's actually quite hard to eat that amount when you try. But because they're having more protein, more real food, they're getting so many more nutrients. So yeah, I would agree that the current Eatwell plate is pretty deficient. And
that nutrient change, carbohydrates seem to make people hungry, and protein makes people full.
Absolutely, I think that's a really key thing that you said there. Of course, the more carbohydrates, starchy carbohydrates that you eat, the hungrier you become. You're not actually satiated. You're not full up. You're not, satisfied.
Just drives you to eat more.
Exactly. It's a known fact, right? It's a known fact. It's not rocket science, and yet we're still pushing it. It's still out there, mainstream. People think, even if you go into a supermarket, they'll have it there. They'll say, follow the government guidelines, eat more starchy foods.
We tell everyone to ignore the traffic light system.
Absolutely.
Ignore it. Definitely ignore that.
You've got your own system, haven't you? And you found it to be really, really successful.
Yeah, I think people like a list of things to eat and not to eat, and a lot of them will stick it on their fridge. And so we have a red, amber and green guide. And green, eat as much as you like. Red, avoid at all costs, and amber perhaps have occasionally if you need to. And our second app also mirrors that, and you can take that into the supermarket and zap barcodes, and it will tell you whether it's a red, amber or green product.
That's fantastic, isn't it? And people can go on your website and find all that.
Yeah,
obviously,
it's on my homepage.
We'll have the link on the Of course we will.
The problem for some people is they go low carb, but then they get caught up in the ultra-processed low-carb foods, grenade killer bars and all of these other things that actually, when you look at them, are just highly processed. And actually, I don't want them to eat that any more than I would want them to eat a chocolate bar, really.
Yeah.
So I think that app is really useful for people starting out when they're really so unsure. Can I eat this? Can I eat this?
Yeah.
And it's very confusing for them. What we're asking them to do is something so different to the way that they've been eating up till then. It can really be a bit mind-blowing for people.
People are confused, actually. Because there's so many mixed messages.
Absolutely.
And people get turned off one food, another food, wherever they look, especially if they're looking on the internet and in the media. There's so much mixed messaging. And people are still pushing the whole low-fat mythology, aren't they?
Still,
Even though the studies have been done, and we all know that certain fats are good and certain fats are not so good. So, people. A lot of people don't really know what you mean when you say high starch or low starch, or high carb or low carb. A lot of people don't know what a starchy food is or what a high carbohydrate food is. So they're really going to need your guidance, aren't they? When they go onto your website and they look at your app and they look at your Freshwell guide. Would you like to see this guide in every hospital and every school in the country?
Definitely. Absolutely. Nice. That would be perfect. Be perfect. A good start, I reckon.
I think it would be great to do that. Definitely. What else can you tell me a little bit more about how, what got you to actually create this Freshwell guide? I mean, it's rather beautiful, isn't it? So obviously one day you're thinking, right, the government Eatwell guide is not working, I'm going to create my own, and this is what I'm going to do.
That was basically the thought process. We were angry about it, weren't we? We were angry about it.
I don't know what made us... I think we were always thinking it would be nice to be able to give something as a replacement to the Eatwell guide. But, I don't know, it just just came to us one day, and we thought, well, luckily our colleague who's involved in the project is an excellent designer, and he designed the app.
Brilliant.
And so I think the design that's gone into that is really nice. And so so we're quite pleased with the product. And as I say, it's a sort of deliberately similar in appearance, just to sort of challenge the status quo, if you like.
Yeah.
Really.
And what feedback have you been getting from people?
Yeah, we get lots of positive feedback. Quite a lot of people are putting these up round and about. They're going into hospitals, going into doctors' surgeries, asking if they can put them up on poster boards and things like that. So it's definitely getting out there. And some of the people whose lives have been changed by doing this feel so strongly about this. You know, that people are quite angry, first of all, when they suddenly lose 6 stone and their diabetes goes away and they don't need their blood pressure pills. They're angry, and I can kind of understand that. You know, why didn't anybody tell me about this before? I was doing what I was told, and I'm sick. And actually, I just needed to do the opposite of what I was being told, and now I'm better. Yeah. So people are angry, and with that anger, you know, we have a community group now of nearly 5,500 people. We have quite a few patient experts. They meet up all the time. They help each other. They support each other. It's amazing. It's really amazing, the work that they do. And I think as well, for somebody making a significant change in their diet, which is against what is the norm. Yeah. I think sometimes people feel very isolated or lonely when they set out, because everyone looks at them like they're crazy. You're not going to have potatoes with that. Yeah. What's the matter with you? Have you got some sort of eating disorder?
That's
and it's
right.
No, I'm just not. You know, whereas somebody can sit there and eat a box of donuts, and no one questions that. Yeah. Just our whole food environment is just so messed up at this point.
It's very dysfunctional, isn't it?
Very
Definitely.
dysfunctional.
You know. I don't know if you've heard. I'm sure you have heard of this saying, "Old dogma dies hard," right? So, given that statement, right? Why do you think it is taking time to get all these, you know, I mean, obviously it's outdated. The government Eatwell guide, which we wouldn't really call it Eat Badly guide. The Eat Badly guide, it's outdated. It's not, it's not evidence-based, and it doesn't work. It's driving, it's probably driving obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome generally in this country. And it's mainly influenced by the food industry.
Yeah. And make a lot of money out of it.
Do you think that's what it is then? Do you think it's the money element of it that's stopping it from really being transformed and having the diet transformed in this country?
I think that, as you said before, I think that perhaps the government sort of abdicated responsibility largely to this sort of expert panel. And, as I say, I don't know enough about it, but people say they've, represent the food industry. So
apparently about 60% are funded by the food industry directly.
But I think people it's like asking, I think with some people it's like asking them to change religion. I think they get taught this at medical school or whatever, nutrition or whatever professional school they came out of, and it's a very hard to shake belief. As I say, it's almost like a religion, like you say, it's dogma. And I think as medical professionals, we cling on to things that we understand, and it sort of makes us sort of able to function because we know this and we know this and we know this, and then all of a sudden someone takes that away, and you get, it's
very confronted. It's
very challenging.
It's kind of embedded in our society, isn't it? It's like I grew up with that Eatwell plate, in the 70s and the 80s. So it's kind of like there, and they're still teaching it in schools now, even though it's clearly outdated. It's crazy, isn't it?
I'm not sure everyone would agree that it's outdated, to be quite honest. That's the thing. It's not like everyone is in agreement. I think there are plenty of people who think that's the right thing to be doing. Sadly, I don't think it's a consensus at all. But,
and there are some people that think what we're telling people to do is crazy. Those people are out there, and even though we can show that everyone gets better, people.
Well, the evidence is there, isn't it? So some people don't want
it's growing and growing and growing.
Accept, even when the evidence is there.
Yes.
What is
still a fight all the way. Yeah.
I really like that. I think that's a really great place to stop. What what can we eat? Tell the viewers what we can eat. What specific foods are really great to start the day with?
Okay.
What's great for lunch and what's great for dinner?
I mean, in the easiest terms, I tell people unlimited meat, fish, eggs. Nuts and dairy are fine. Any vegetables that grow above the ground because they are less starchy, and any fruit that grows in this country because it is less sugary than other tropical fruits like bananas, grapes, mangoes, which we would count as a no-go. And the Freshwell guide, we've got a nice big chunk, a third of the plate there is non-starchy vegetables, a third of it there is the protein. Then we've got healthy fats and oils there, olive oil, butter, dripping, lard, all fine. Fabulous. A smaller sliver there of British fruit, mainly berries, and then this section here of dairy. So that's what we would essentially suggest, and we advise people to cut out bread, rice, potatoes, pasta, and breakfast cereals, which also includes porridge, and porridge people really struggle because they're told it's so good for them and it will bring down their cholesterol and it's great, but it really puts people's blood glucose up. So we say no to porridge.
Okay, my partner is Scottish and he loves his porridge, so I'll show him this podcast. So let's talk about 5 a day, okay? The 5 a day message. We're all peddled the 5 a day message. You've got to get your 5 a day in. Where's that coming from? And is it substantiated with anything?
No, it's not substantiated with anything that specific number. As I understand it, it was a marketing slogan from the Fruit and Vegetable Association, or I think it was Australia, I'm not sure, in possibly the 70s.
Yeah.
I suppose the principle of eat more vegetables is a good one, and I think, but I don't like the way that it equates a sugary pineapple with a courgette, for example. And I think you can have an awful lot of sugar. I think on our app I sort of calculated that you could have with your 5 a day, you could have about 22 teaspoonfuls of sugar quite easily if you chose it from grapes, bananas, pineapples, that sort of thing. Whereas if you had it from courgettes, tomatoes, aubergine, cauliflower, that sort of thing, you can have the fibre. I suppose that's where it's come from. It's about eating more fibre, and we're happy that people eat fibre, but you can get all the fibre that you need from vegetables. And I think the 5 a day sort of overemphasises fibre from whatever source, and the whole concept of equating these different foods is massively simplistic. And I find that patients who come to me that are very pleased saying I'm eating my 5 a day are generally eating more fruit, more sugary bananas, grapes, because that's what they like eating. They don't really want to eat more courgettes. Maybe.
Or a tin of baked beans.
Yeah, exactly. So we talk about it in the app. We say it's not something. It's a frustrating slogan because it is not based in science in itself. There is evidence for fibre as such, but there's no evidence for 5 a day, and in particular, interchanging, making all of these foods equivalent is just hugely oversimplistic and unhelpful as far as I'm concerned.
Fantastic. Yeah, I totally agree with you, obviously. But I think a lot of messages are being peddled off the back of marketing. More than anything, they're not really for the benefit of people's health and well-being. It's more for the benefit of marketing and selling.
Like breakfast is the most important meal in the day.
Yeah,
that was said by Mr. Kellogg, and
right.
we all people still believe this that they must have breakfast
and they must have cereals for breakfast.
Yes,
yeah, definitely.
And it's good. You go down the cereal aisle; it's all stamped with healthy whole grains.
Yeah,
and that stuff is junk.
There's no
all
evidence.
of it is junk.
There's no evidence that it's heart healthy, and it's interesting because a lot of them use just a symbol of a heart. They don't actually have to say it. They just use a symbol of a heart, and our minds will immediately associate it with being heart healthy because we see that symbol.
It's clever stuff.
It's very clever marketing.
Clever stuff.
There's no evidence.
No.
Is there? Absolutely no evidence. All it does is spike your blood sugar levels. So when we talk about fruit sugar, we're talking about fructose, aren't we?
Maybe, yeah.
And then when we're talking about bread and pasta, that's converted into glucose, yes.
Yep.
But we don't need that amount of sugar in our diet, and even Olympic athletes would struggle to perhaps burn all that, right?
There is only 1 teaspoon of sugar in anyone's blood at any one time. That's how little we need.
Yeah.
And your body makes it itself. You don't need to keep putting it in because your body can make glucose for activity.
That's a great point. That's a really great point. Yeah. So as a general guide, we don't really need all this sugar in our diets. No. And by the word sugar, we mean fructose and sucrose and glucose and anything with ose at the end of it. We don't need it in the way that we think we do.
Yep.
So by eating more fat and protein and green leafy vegetables, we're less likely to want the carbohydrates. Is that what you found?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, because it's satiety, it promotes feeling of full. It's almost like one of these natural weight loss injections. They've shown that actually eating high protein foods puts up the level that you find in those weight loss drugs, puts your own natural level up. So it has a very similar effect on your appetite.
So you recommend people eat more protein and vegetables and less...
Absolutely, yeah.
Fruit and pasta and bread and potatoes and porridge and rice, carbohydrates generally.
Yep.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
And you found it to be really successful.
Yep.
And your clients come in, or your patients come in and say, I feel great on this diet, I feel really fantastic,
absolutely. Yep.
I've lost all this weight.
Yep. And then the neighbour comes in and says, I want to do what my neighbour's doing because they've lost 5 stone. Yeah, no, it's really nice. People really well. I think collectively we've had over a couple of tonnes now, including our sort of PCN of practices. So a couple of tonnes of weight loss. We've got, a type 2 diabetes remission rate of around sort of 11 or 12%, and a pre-diabetes remission rate of about 25%. So
amazing.
And that's really just from mentioning it to people and telling them about the app and letting them get on with it. It's not like we're hand-holding them completely. Some people really do just run with it and do fantastically well.
Really fantastic. There's been a lot of reports in the news and even on the breakfast shows on TV about people that feel that they can't diet, they can't eat well, they've got to have an injection or they've got to have a pill. What's your response to that?
Oh, I just think it's quite sad.
It's
sad. It's just sad that people feel that.
It does demonstrate the enormous power of marketing and the addictive qualities of ultra-processed food.
Absolutely. And it's rising, isn't it? It's getting worse. People eating more and more. It's creeping into our diets, ultra-processed food.
Yeah, more than creeping. Yeah.
Yes, it's charging in with velocity like a herd of buffalo.
Yes, exactly.
Like David was saying earlier, a lot of people don't cook now. Grown-ups don't cook, and children are brought up in a family where their parents don't cook, so they don't learn to cook.
Yeah.
This is only getting worse. We need to go back to basics, cooking real food with real ingredients as they look from their source. None of this stuff that's been messed with. This is not going to end well.
Absolutely. Hence why you've written a recipe book.
We want to try and help people to make this change.
So you've written how many recipe books?
4 now.
4 recipe books. And people can get that recipe book on your website as well?
So you can go online and you can down them all for free.
Amazing.
And many of the recipes are actually on the app as well. And you can also, but some people, we ended up printing hard copies and selling them at a sort of cost because a lot of people for the kitchen really wanted a hard copy. So that you can also order those online.
Yeah. But that's fantastic and that's so generous. I mean, you're transforming.
We just want to make people better. We just want to make people better. That's what we want.
So that's what we get out of it.
Enlightened doctors. Enlightened doctors. Amazing.
We learn late, but we learn in the end.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
All is good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And for sharing your knowledge with everyone out there. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.